So welcome back to the channel. For those that haven't worked on a Fox body before, there's a couple of things you have to watch out for when you're putting the headers on these cars. And the main thing is this steering shaft right here. This engine compartment's really big for such a small car. When you go putting big blocks in them and stuff, you have to do things with the brake booster and stuff like that. But pretty much any engine will fit in these cars. That's why they make such a great drag car. You can put whatever you want in it. Now, I tend to always put a Ford in mine. But I'm back to the 408 project. Sorry I didn't film more. I think I said this already, but sorry I didn't film more actually putting the engine in. But I'll make that up to y'all on some upcoming installs we got. I'll do a little better job of filming putting the engine in. But I want to get the headers on it. We don't have a whole lot to go. We just got a few obstacles we got to overcome, and I'll get to those as I get to them, and I'll do a little filming on them. But we're ready to get the headers in. Long tube headers in a Fox body are kind of a pain to put in, especially when they're a one-piece design where the left header is not in two separate sections, because you have to go around that steering shaft. When your headers are one piece, you pretty much got to, well, there ain't no pretty much, you have to take the steering column out so you can get the stub shaft out to get the header in. And you need to get the car up on a lift or up pretty high in the air to get enough angle to get the headers in. Now, another thing that helps with that is the tubular cross member. The tubular cross member made putting headers in this car so much easier because for the most part I don't have to take the engine loose. If I had a larger set of headers, I might have to, but with the ones I have, which I believe are inch and 5/8 or inch and 7, I think they're inch and 7/8. I have to measure them. Maybe inch and 3/4. I haven't measured them in a long time. I think they're inch and 3/4. But put them in here. You can get them in without picking the motor up once it's bolted down. It goes right in a hole, line everything up, and the biggest thing that's hard on them is getting this back bolt back here. But I've taken a few steps to make that not so difficult, and I'll show you some of that. Anyway, let's get started, and hopefully by the end of the day we'll have headers and a water pump on this thing, and then I can move on to some incidentals and we'll be real close to getting it cranked up. Okay, so we've got the inside part of the steering column out. Now we got to get the little stub shaft out. And I'm trying to remember what size Allen wrench this thing takes. And I hit it right off the go. It's a 5/32. Now this is a Flamin' River manual rack that I run on this car. And that was another thing that I did that I would consider, if you're doing a Fox body, essential part. And so you take that little set screw loose right there, and the stub shaft comes out. And this is all there is to it. Now the factory one has a rag joint up on this end, and if you'll notice, this thing's keyed. It's got a flat side and a curved side. That's to help you keep it clocked. And then there's a flat down here on the shaft where this Allen screw goes, even though it doesn't show up inside very well. And another thing you can do, it's got two locking it down at each point on the shaft. And I usually put the lock nut back on. These ones I put in with red Loctite. Knock wood, they haven't come loose, so we'll see what happens. This is not an advertisement or paid advertisement for Flamin' River, but I do sell their products through Speed Oasis, and I do use their products, as is evident here. It's a Flamin' River manual rack on a complete UPR front subclip, K-clip I should say, with tubular A-arms and all. And I'll take some pictures of that when we go back under the bottom. That's got the shaft out of the way. We're ready to put the header in. Another thing I got to do, and I think it'll show up in the film here, I got to do something about the oil sending unit. This one's different than mine. I got to unscrew this and get a number 3 fitting on there so I can hook my oil line back up. And I need to blow the oil line out, make sure ain't no creepy crawlies crawled up in it because the cap fell off the end of it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is run a bolt into all these bolt holes. What that's going to do is clear out the threads. Let me know if I got anything I need to thread chase. Now, this motor didn't have a lot of passes on it, So I should be able to do this without much trouble. Now that one's got a little bit of a problem. Yep. I'm gonna have to thread chase that one. Now, the other thing I can do is try another bolt. Okay, so that one's going to go ahead and go. Alright, so it may just be that bolt don't like this hole. So let's see what we can do here. Alright, so I got a problem, child. There's always one. So what I'll do now, clean the threads out on the cutter. Ooh, boy. All right. Okay, so it didn't want to clean up with just a bolt. So I've had to go to stronger measures. Get the tap and die set out. And I don't have a tap socket big enough, or small enough I should say, to fit this tap. So I'm having to do it the little old man way. And you know, thread chasing is one of those skills that you need to learn. And I think the rain's coming back. Or maybe that was just the wind blowing water out of the trees. I can always hope, because this has delayed me. Plus I had to stop. A friend of mine made a delivery for me, and we got his truck stuck. Had to get it out. Now what I really need to do is probably put a stud in this one. Yeah, it's cutting in there pretty good. Oops. Now it's going to cut its way back out, and if I'm careful, it should clean those threads all the way up. Now, what I got to do when I put this back together is remember that those threads have been pulled. So we're making pretty good progress. I think I'm going to stop and go eat me some supper, and then I'll put this header in, and then we'll check the bolts on the other side. That way at least the bottom work's done. If it does commence to raining, until the wind starts blowing under the cover, I can keep working. I'm going to go ahead and try to get the header in and get it started. Just get a couple of bolts in it. That way we're out, this side's up and out of the way for the night. Now what I did a long time ago, and some people tell you to do this and some people tell you you shouldn't do this, I cut part of the back header flange so that you can take a bolt, like I just stuck that bolt there, and there we go. Now this will just kind of hold it in place. I need to get another small headed bolt and get it in the front. Now another thing I could do is pull this bolt back out, keep it pivoting. And yeah, that's not liking that. There we go. It'll let me get in here with a ball socket. There we go. see, that'll let me go ahead and spin this one in. Alright, so that header's in place. I got to get a bolt. I got to get a bolt into the front hole up here. Take this one back out, which is just holding it in place right now. And then I got to work my way over to the motor. But I got to get the gasket in there before I can do that. So we're going to stop right here for right now on this side. I got to go grab some more bolts. I got a brand new set of header bolts up there. So I'm going to go get that and get the front one started, and then we'll take the valve cover off and we can slide the gasket in. But I think for today I'm going to try to go ahead and get the other header in place like this header's in place. Okay, so what I'm going to use are these little bit shorter versions of these Mr. Gaskets, because frankly I just think it's going to be better. These bolts on this one have had a rough life, these bolt holes. So if I can get this in there a couple of threads, there we go. Alright, then I can take this one back out. With the ball socket. There. Now we're hanging on the front bolt and the back bolt. If we take the valve cover off, we can slide the header right in. Header gasket right in, and then get this header on. Alright, so that's this side. Now I'm going to go over and try to do the same thing on the other side, and I got to pull that nasty wrap off that they used to seal up the engine, which, I mean, I'm glad they did it, but it needs to come off now. And then I need to see about getting a set of spark plugs stuck in this thing. But I think for tonight I'm just going to stick paper towels in the holes, and that'll hold it. I know, I need to replace these headers, but when we put the new engine in later, I'll go ahead and put a new set on it. But this has been a really good set of headers, and other than being cosmetically challenged, they're doing a great job, and I just figured I'd keep them in here since this is a temporary engine. And I'm probably going to go to a larger primary tube when I put the other motor in, as it's going to be at quite a bit higher level of power. But it was a pretty decent day considering the weather. I only stopped a few times. I got quite a bit done to the car, and I shot enough videos to probably break up into 3 or 4 pieces. I didn't go ahead and show the right hand side here because this one's getting a little long. I will get it out there, maybe in a fast forwarded version, maybe do a voiceover over it and include it with some other things I did later in the evening after the sun went down and the weather got worse and I moved inside. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed it. If there's something you'd like me to see on the channel, please let me know. I'll see what I can do about getting it out here. And in general, just let me know what you think of the channel. Anything I can do to improve it, add some more value for you. It may end up giving me some pointers to get some new inspiration of my own, or at least make some new content, or some more interesting content, or some more useful content. As long as you're getting something out of this, I'll keep making them. As long as I enjoy making them, I'll keep making them. And I hope everybody is liking it so far. Anyway, if you've liked, commented, or subscribed in the past, I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support. This was not a sponsored video. I do sell the parts that you see me install usually through Speed Oasis. You can check us out at Speed Oasis LLC on Facebook. And of course, here on YouTube at Fab Race Mod Repeat. And practice your skills. Get better at your craftsmanship. Learn to get better. Get better by learning. Until next time, I hope everybody has a great week. This is Fab Race Mod Repeat.